Hi everybody. In this video we'll continue working with our purchase order spreadsheet and use various functions to analyze the data within the purchase order. First, let's use an if statement to fill in the total cost of parts ordered with the handling fee included and the total cost of parts without a handling fee included. In column I, we want the cost of the part to be included in column I if there was a handling fee. If there was no handling fee, we want a blank space shown in column I. The if function starts out with a logic statement and tells Excel what to do if the logic statement is true and what to do if the logic statement is false. So a good logic statement for column I would be to take a look at column F, and if the number in column F is greater than 0, then enter the amount in column G into column I. And if the amount in column F is not greater than 0, then enter a blank space in column I or leave the cell in column I blank. Let's write the if statement into column I, row 8. I started by saying equals if, and the left half of the parentheses. Now we're going to do our logical test. If F8 is greater than 0, I'm going to click on F8. I'm going to use the greater sign on my keyboard. I'm going to enter 0. Now the logic part of this test says if F8 is greater than 0, Excel tells us to put a comma after our logic statement, so comma. Now we want to put in the value if true. That would be the amount from column G8. Then Excel tells us to put in a comma and put in the value if false. We want a blank space. We want the cell left blank if the value is false, and we tell that to Excel by putting 2 quotation marks side by side. Quote, quote. And now we need to close up. See, it tells you that you need this final parentheses. We need to close up the right side of the parentheses. Hit enter. And it did exactly what we wanted it to do. There's invoice or part number 2152. Included a handling fee, so we took the total cost and wrote it in column I. Now let's copy the formula down to the other rows for the other parts, and it appears to be working correctly. We have a blank space left on for part number 4167 because there was no handling fee. These 2 parts did include a handling fee, so their total cost is included, and a blank space is included here. Let's create an if formula in column J. If a handling fee has not been included in the cost of the part, we want the amount in column G to be shown in column J. If there was a fee paid on the part, we want a blank space to be shown in column J. Why don't you pause this video and write a good if statement in cell J8. Then copy the formula down, and when you finish, start the video again to check your work. Is the if statement you wrote something like equals if, parentheses, F8 equals 0, put in G8, otherwise put in a blank space in parentheses. And when you copied that formula down, did you end up with an amount on row 9 and an amount on row 12 and nothing on these rows? That would be correct. If you didn't come up with that, you might want to go back to the book and reread the section about if statements. The if statements are very, very important. Now let's use the count A function to show the number of parts ordered on this purchase order in cell number J16. Formulas, insert function. We want count A. From all choices, it brings up count A, click OK, and now we have our function argument screen for count A. This is so easy. We want it to count the number of actual parts ordered. So all we have to do is click on B8 through B12, and we're done with the count A function arguments. And it says that we ordered 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That number is correct. Next, use the count function to show the number of parts that had a handling fee in J16 and the number of parts that did not have a handling fee in J17. Cursor on J16, formulas, insert function. We're looking for count, not count A. I'm going to type in count in the search. All go for the search. It brings up count and highlights it. OK. Now we have our function arguments for count. We want it to count the number of invoices that did have a fee. So highlight I8 through I12. OK. So we had 3 products that we ordered that did have a fee. Please pause your video and complete the worksheet showing the number of parts that did not have a handling fee using the count function. Start the video again when you finish your work to check your answers. Was your formula equals count, parentheses, J8 through J12 by using the count insert function, count function through the insert function? If you did that correctly, then the number of parts that we ordered without a fee were 2. Now I know that it would be so easy to look up here and count them 1, 2, and enter the number 2 here. But you're learning to use these functions, assuming that the worksheets you're going to be dealing with might have 150 parts ordered. And it would not be efficient for you to be trying to count each one of the 150 parts with a fee or without a fee. So using the count A or the count functions will help you handle a bigger volume of data. Okay, we're going to finish up the analysis of this purchase order by putting in the average unit price, the highest unit price, the lowest unit price, the third highest price, and the second lowest price. You need to be familiar with the statistical formulas, the statistical functions in the textbook, so make sure you've read the textbook. I'll get you started using the function for average price, then I'll let you finish up the rest of the spreadsheet. After you pause your video, finish up the spreadsheet, then you can come back and check your answers. Average price. Formulas, insert function. We want average find it in the full set. We could click on statistical. Search, and here's average. Okay. So now we want the average unit price. So we're going to click on C8 through C12. Okay. And the average unit price was $32.89. You go ahead and finish up the rest of these statistical analysis by using the correct function tool, and then come back and check the video to see if your answers are correct. Okay, did you calculate these amounts for the average, highest, lowest, third highest, and second lowest unit prices? I'll show you my formulas quickly in case you did not calculate those amounts. To calculate the highest unit price, I inserted the function for max and put this range in. For the lowest unit price, I inserted the function for min and put this range in. For the third highest, we can't use max or min. We have to use large here and small here. So for the third highest, I inserted the function for large, I put this range in, and then in the next block in the screen, I choose the third largest, and it calculated the third highest price. Did the same thing for the second smallest, except I brought up the function for small and put in this range and chose the second smallest. Well, that's all for this video, and that's all for the work we're doing on purchase order number 4222. I'll see you next time. We'll talk about the loan functions or payment functions.